Hello, welcome to my 2022 book review. Hamilton is our guest for today. You wanna say hi? You say hi? Say hi, Hamilton. This is Hamilton. I love you. I wanted to review the books that I read last year. I've seen a lot of other people do this and I thought it was really fun. So I wanted to do it too. Didn't want to be left out. I only read like 5.5 books in 2022, and that was because I was in my senior year of college, so it was kind of hard. Do not do that. Not the tripod. You can roll on anything else you want. I was in my senior year of college, so it was kind of hard to read as much as I would like to, so I'm hoping this year I get to read more, but I'm just gonna go through all the books that I read in 2022. So the first book I read, also I don't own everything. I go to the library a lot and I also borrow from friends that I have. This is the first book that I read, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And this book was really good. I definitely saw it on TikTok. This is a TikTok book. And it had a really interesting plot, and the person that I saw reviewing it said that it was the best book that she had ever read. What do I think? Hamilton, is this the best book you've ever read? No, it's not the best book I've ever read, but it was really, really good. Basically, the plot of this is a young woman desperately makes a deal with the devil and basically gives up her life so she can be alive forever and she has freedom, but every time somebody meets her, they forget her when they leave the room or something like that. And finally one day she meets somebody who remembers her. And it's kind of a love story. I read it like very early in the year, so I don't remember everything about it. The writing is honestly amazing. The writing is so beautiful. It's like poetry, kind of. Maybe I don't know what poetry is all the way. The middle was kind of slow, but the ending was really good. The ending was predictable. I did guess it and I was right. Nonetheless, I think it was a really good book. I would honestly give it a 3.5 out of 5. Maybe even a 3 out of 5. 3.25 out of 5. Just because it took me a few months to read this and get through it, and I honestly read other books this year that I was able to burn through a lot easier. The second book I read, I got from the library. I had gone to the library and I was just walking around. I was like, what if I just pick up any book? Like, I just let a book call me. I pick up any book and then that's the book that I'm gonna check out at the library. And this book was very random. I doubt many people have heard of it. It was called There Once Lived a Woman Who Tried to Kill Her Neighbor's Baby by Ludmilla, Petrushevskaya. I'm so sorry. I ended up looking up the author and they gave like a little description about the author. It was really interesting. She's a Russian author and she had a very dark life, and I think that inspired the story. So the book is a bunch of short stories. There Once Lived a Woman Who Tried to Kill Her Neighbor's Baby was one of the short stories out of a bunch of them. This one also kind of took me a while to read just because it honestly creeped me out. They're like short fairy tale stories, but they're horror stories. If that's up your alley, I would highly recommend it for you. I would give it, on the creepy spectrum, probably a 4 out of 5, but personally, I would give it like a 2.5 out of 5. I can't make a decision. You know what? I want to make my scale out of 10. I'm going to give The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue a 6.5 out of 10. And then I'm going to give There Once Lived a Woman Who Tried to Kill Her Neighbor's Baby a 6 out of 10. It was honestly just a creepy book. And I probably will not be walking around the library just picking out random books from now on because who knows what I'm going to pick up. The third book I read in 2022, very popular, it's probably one of the most popular books on the internet still currently, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. This book was easily a 10 out of 10. It was probably one of my favorite books I've ever read. Basically, it follows the life of Evelyn Hugo. Well, okay, how do I explain this? Basically, she's giving an interview to this woman, and the woman has no idea why she's getting all this information because Evelyn Hugo's like one of the biggest stars in Hollywood back in her day. She's giving her the opportunity to tell her story, which she's never told before, and then the story is going to be published one day, and then the writer's gonna make all this money. And it goes through the life of Evelyn Hugo, and it talks about each of her 7 husbands. And it's so good. One of my favorite quotes from the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo was, "When you're given an opportunity to change your life, be ready to do whatever it takes to make it happen. The world doesn't give you things, you take things." And then another quote that I loved was, "Never let anyone make you feel ordinary." Whenever I get to the end of a movie or a book or a TV show or whatever that I really love, I stop it because I don't want it to end. And that's kind of what I was doing at the end of this book. I like kept putting it off so it wouldn't be over. Like you have to read it to understand why it's so amazing. 10 out of 10. The next book I read, and I'm pretty sure I put this in a YouTube video back in the middle of summer or something. The book was called The Blue Zones Diet by Dan Buettner. I had done a lot of research about blue zones, and I ended up not finishing the book just because I wanted to buy it so my own copy would be read and it wouldn't look like it was brand new sitting on my shelf. But I do love that topic, so I can't completely give it a rating yet, but so far I would say it'd be an 8.5 out of 10. Alright. Next book that I read that I really loved, it was called Poison for Breakfast by Lemony Snicket. I feel like I heard about this book through a podcast or something, and I had no idea what it was about, but I decided to pick it up at the library, and I loved it. It was basically a philosophy book, just about ideas, and it was about this guy who gets, I think I should really write down right when I'm reading about my thoughts about books. He gets a note from breakfast and it says, "You've been poisoned," or "You're poisoned for breakfast," whatever. That's what the whole book is about, poison for breakfast. And he goes on this whole journey throughout the book, trying to discover okay, who poisoned me? And it's less than 200 pages. It's a really short book. I did talk about in one of my other videos why I was reading it, or the end of when I was reading it. And there are some ideas that I did save in my notes on my phone that I really liked. My favorite quote from this book that I think about a lot and that I have adapted into my own life is, "You're never sorry you brought a book." And I think that's so true. You could go anywhere. You could go to a cafe, you could go out with your friends or go to the beach or whatever. Hi. He's my co-host. This is awkward. You can't be here while I'm doing this. And I think that's a great rule in life. You'll never regret bringing a book. Another quote that I really love from that book was, "I get sad when I think of my own wicked acts, although I suppose if I weren't sad about them, it would mean I didn't care. I'm glad that I care, so I'm a little happy that I'm sad." Because I think that's true, especially I am very sensitive and emotional. I'm a Pisces, and I think we all do things that are bad sometimes that we regret, or may not be the best decision that we've ever made. But I think when you feel bad about something, that really shows that you are a good person. I would rate Poison for Breakfast by Lemony Snicket a 10 out of 10. And then the last book that I read in 2022 that I think kind of bled over into the beginning of this year was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. One of my friends let me borrow the entire series, and I love it. I love this book. I need it to be made into a TV series immediately. It's kind of like a darker version of Beauty and the Beast. She gets taken as a prisoner. Feyre is the main character, and she gets taken by a beast. His name's Tamlin. She's taken as prisoner, but then they fall in love and all this stuff, and I don't even know how to explain it without ruining the entire plot, because it's so much more than that. If you like a darker romance, this is for you. And there's also 5 books in the entire series. I'm reading the second one right now. It's so good. I think I like the second one even more so far than the first one, and I loved this. Easily a 10 out of 10. Actually, it deserves an 11 out of 10 because of how much I love this book. I think I love this book as much now as I loved Harry Potter when I was in middle school. Honestly, I want to buy my own set of these and probably read them again, because I'm sad to give these back to my friend when I have to. Those are the books I read in 2022. My goal last year was to read 1 book every month, and I got less than halfway there. So that's going to be my goal again for this year, and I'm actually going to achieve it and maybe even go above and beyond for my next book review. Hopefully I'll have more to offer, or maybe I'll do a halfway through the year book review so I can talk about this series when I finish it. I just love looking at the cover, like it's so pretty. I just got my library card renewed. So if any books that you've read that are similar that you think I may enjoy based on these, please let me know, because I do want to read a lot more this year. I love getting sucked into a world. Bye!